Hi friends, it's Terri Gaines, independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. In this video tutorial, I'm going to share a card created with product from a suite called Perfectly Pears Suite Collection. I'm going to be using the bundle that's in the suite. The bundle is a stamp set and a set of dies that coordinate together. When you purchase them as a bundle, you get a 10% savings. So I'm going to be using the stamp set and the dies. I'm also going to be using this beautiful ribbon that is part of the suite. This is the Mossy Meadow and Gold 1/4 inch ribbon. I'm going to be using that. I'm going to be using these beautiful embellishments. These are the low profile sparkle dots, 3 different colors, 2 different sizes each, and there are 210 altogether. I am not going to be using the designer series paper that's in the suite. This paper is absolutely beautiful, but I've chose to use an embossing folder instead. This paper is 12 by 12. You get 2 each of these 6 double-sided designs. They are really beautiful in person. They have this print that all of these images can be, I shouldn't say all, this grouping of flowers, the pears, these pears, the leaves and the little stem can all be cut out with the coordinating dies. This paper is so beautiful in person. You've got the front side, excuse me, and the back side. And they are kind of, to me, a little vintage design to them, but they are absolutely beautiful. And this is the last print. As I mentioned, you get 2 each of the 6 double-sided 12 by 12 designs. I'm choosing not to use the paper, as I mentioned. I'm going to be using an embossing folder and stamping. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do the stamping first. I'm going to be using the, let me bring this back in. I'm going to be stamping with this image, and it can be cut out with the dies, and it's a solid image. It's got some detail to it. I'm going to stamp it first with Darling Duckling. Now, Darling Duckling is a new in color, and I just started using it. So my ink pad is really new. I found to get the best image when you have a brand new ink pad is to take a plastic spoon, the round edge of it, and just move the ink to the side, because I feel I get too much ink on my stamp. So then what I can do is place my stamp down, pick it up, place it back down. I'm tapping it to get ink on the surface. I am not pushing it. I'm just tapping, tap, tap, tap. Then I can bring it to my paper and I can place even pressure down, give it time to absorb into the paper. And then you're going to get, look at all the detail you get with that stamp set or that stamp image. Now I'm going to use 2 of these images. So the next one is going to be inked up with the Darling Duckling, but now I'm going to add a little bit of color to it. I'm going to take my old olive ink pad, and I'm going to take a sponge dauber, and I'm going to tap the sponge dauber into the ink, and I'm going to just add this ink to the side. Did I tell you this is old olive in color? So I'm just tapping on the edge just to get a little bit of green on that edge. Now again, place it down, give it time to absorb and absorb into the cardstock. And there we have this image with a little bit of green. Every time I do this, it's a little bit different, but that's the effect I wanted. So I've got my 2 images. Now I do want to let you know, if you want to stamp more, always clean your stamp off and start fresh with the Darling Duckling and putting the green on the old olive. Now what I want to do is stamp this stamp. I'm using this stamp and this stamp. I'm going to stamp this one in Pecan Pie. So I'm going to just tap it and just tap, tap, tap to get the ink on the surface. And then I'm going to stamp. Give it time to absorb into the paper, and I have that image. I'm also going to use Pecan Pie and stamp the sentiment. Congratulations. Tap, tap, tap. Get ink just on the surface, and I'm going to stamp on that. give it time to absorb. Now I have the images stamped that I want for this project. Now I did do some prep work ahead of time. I took this die and I cut out both of these, and with my cut and emboss machine, I took this die and I cut that image out. I actually cut 2 of them out, and then I took the congrats, that die, and I cut those out. I did that work ahead of time. So let me bring those in. So there's that one. And as I mentioned, each time it turns out a little bit different, and that's okay. And then I have 2 of these. One I already have colored in. Now to color these in, and then let me see, I also have that image right here already cut out. So I'm going to show you how I color this in. Now when you color this in, you can use your markers. These are the Stampin' Right markers. They come in assorted packages by the family colors. They have a nice bullet tip. That's what I use to color in the stem. I used pecan pie, so I just colored in the stem with this. I could have used a blend, and then I did use my light mossy meadow blend. The Stampin' blends come you get a light and a dark. This is the light. You have a brush tip and a bullet tip. And I just colored in with the brush tip. It's a really nice pointed brush tip that lets you get into the crevices of your image and just put it on real lightly. It dries a little bit lighter, and also you could use the bullet tip if you want. I'm not doing the best job coloring this in with the view I have here, the angle, but I think it looks just fine. Now I've got that colored in, and as I mentioned, I have 2 of those. Now I also wanted to use this die. I just like that look on that die. So I wanted that in gold foil. So I took my gold foil. Gold foil comes 12 by 12. I cut it down to 4 by 6. Then I took some of the adhesive sheet. These come in a package. You get 12 in a package. They're 6 by 12. I cut them down to the size of paper I want to work with, and you put it on the back side of your paper. I'm going to take a couple minutes to show you how I do that. I bring in my Simply Scoring tool, and on one side of this adhesive sheet, there's these 2-inch strips. I pull one of them off, and just one at a time, or one to start out with, and that's adhesive side up right here. Then I push the side that still has the backing on up to this wall, up to that wall, so it's nice and tight in that corner. I take the back side of my gold foil and place it up against the wall, up against that wall, and then I let it fall down into place. That helps me get that alignment. Then I peel it back, take these backings off, let it adhere, and take the last backing off. And now what I have is I have adhesive sheets behind my gold foil. So when I take this to my die cutting machine and place this down with my platform and my plates, run it through, I'm going to get the image cut out with adhesive backing on it and adhesive on the very back of it. I like working with adhesive sheet for these detailed parts. So that's the prep work I did ahead of time, along with embossing. I told you that I decided not to use embossing or the designer series paper. I decided to emboss the card instead. So what I did was I took the Glass and Gardens embossing folders. These both come together. They are now back in stock as of the time I'm recording this video. And I took, if you can see here, I took this one and I put it on the layer for my card. This is basic white. I placed it just on the edge, ran it through. So I've got the design here and I've got the white space here. I'm going to layer this onto my basic white card base. My card base is 8.5 by 5.5. I've already folded it in half and I creased it with my bone folder. I'm going to adhere this to my card base, and I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal. and just put my adhesive on all 4 edges. I am going to just look at this edge right here, and I cut this layer, make sure I'm putting it on the way I want it to. I cut this layer to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So there's just a 1/16 of a border around all edges. I just like that subtle design. Now I'm going to work my way from the bottom to the top to assemble this. I'm going to first start out by placing this image down. I mentioned it's got adhesive sheet on the back. I can peel that backing off. And then this is all adhesive right here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to place this about right here. Now with adhesive sheets, if I just lightly put it down, it will peel up and I can reposition it. Once you're happy with where you have it, take your bone folder and burnish it to get that adhesive to bond in place so it does not peel back up. Now what I'm going to do is put this pair down first. I'm going to bring in my silicone craft mat. Now this one is going to, they're both going to have one of these, and I want this to be overlaid a little bit. So I'm going to take my mini glue dots. Mini glue dots, I think there's, if I remember right, there's like 250 on this roll. And I'm just going to take and put this image on a mini glue dot. I'm going to push the excess adhesive behind it, peel this up, and they're really sticky and adhere very well. I'm going to place that down. And as long as I've got the adhesive out, I'm going to do the same thing for this one. So I'm going to place that end on the mini glue dot and pick it up. Make sure all that adhesive is tucked in the back. And whoops, that's not quite where I want it. Let's do it this way. Let's put that right here. So I want this one below, so I'm going to just take my Stampin' Seal, put adhesive behind that, a little bit of adhesive behind each of those leaves, and then I'm going to place this right here on my card. Now this one I want to pop up with dimensionals, so I'm going to take the dimensionals, and these are great for adding dimension to your project. I'm going to put one behind each leaf, and I'll put a few. I'm going to put 4 on that. And then I'm going to take your pick tool that helps get those backings off, and get all the backings off. Now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to layer this one right here. Okay. Now I'm going to take my sentiment and I'm going to adhere that across here. Now it's going to adhere here, but I need to put a dimensional behind this part of it. So what I'm going to do is take the mini dimensionals, or you could always cut your standard ones in half. I'm going to just double check to make sure. I'm only putting my adhesive on my dimensionals on this side of the label, and then I'm going to put regular adhesive on this other side. Let's see if I can get that started. There we go. Now I'm going to take the backings off of here. And this, as I mentioned, is going to go across like this. Just like that. Now I do want to showcase this beautiful ribbon. It is got some gold flecks in it. There's a little bit more gold on one side than the other that's woven in. So I'm going to just make a simple little knot, but I'm going to try to make sure that I twist it at the center knot so I get both sides of that, or the gold, to show up on both ends. You can take your paper snips and trim that a little bit. Let's see, I don't quite have that even. Then I'm going to take a mini glue dot and attach it with the mini glue dot. Grab my take your pick tool, and I'm going to put this right under here. And to finish off this card, I'm going to use these beautiful embellishments that are part of the suite. And I'm going to take these center ones, which I believe are mossy meadow in color, and I'm going to add a few to the card just to add a little bling. And that's my card. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. I will list all of the supplies I use for this card on the bottom of this YouTube video and also on my blog post where I'll share a photo of this card. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Take care and happy creating.